Jim, congratulations. One of those nights when really the result was everything, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously we've got to analyse performance and we've got to analyse. I don't think we've been at our best for a while in terms of nobody's at maximum 8s or 9s. You know, we're kind of, it looks a little bit like there's an element of tiredness, there's an element of mental fatigue. So we just got to work through that, have a look at everything and see if we can freshen things up or regenerate players. I think the subs we brought in today looked like they had a little bit more spring in their step, you know, which was great. But we still had a couple of lads who played a lot of minutes that looked a little bit jaded or didn't have the spark they probably needed in a game like tonight.
In the end, I mean, for the chances that you created, it probably wasn't as comfortable as maybe the balance of play says it should have been.
Yeah, I think we had this last year. When I think in a similar time this season we played the likes of Tamworth and we got a hold of the game, and then for some reason we kind of give them a little bit of hope. And sometimes that's their them having a goal more than thing. But you know, I said to the lads before the game that we've got to accept where we're at, be resilient, you know, in terms of accepting what we are, accept the mistakes we've made, the games that we've dropped points or the mistakes we've made, but be more purposeful in what we want to achieve now. And I was really disappointed with Scott Luxbury, for example. Rather than playing a simple ball, he decides to run it, runs it out of play, and the end product. And I think players have to learn that there's an effect to things, you know. Whether that be somebody make a dynamic run to get us up the pitch and win a corner, and then the corner comes in, and the goal scorer and the corner taker get all the praise. But I'm also mindful he's got us a corner, or he's got us up the pitch. So I think we just have to tidy up and get rid of some of the little rough edges that are coming back in. I think we'd all agree that certain players on our pitch at the moment have had far better games than tonight or what we've seen in this month. But we will need to improve when we play the better sides, to take better care of the ball or ask a few more questions.
Do you also feel maybe Saturday, particularly the whole emotion of the occasion, as well as the physical exertion that the players put in, has affected them a little bit tonight? And maybe was that part of the reason we're making 3 changes this evening as well?
I think there's an element of that, but we weren't. You know, we obviously a lot of the players trained yesterday, and they felt good physically and mentally. We didn't make a big deal of loss. We just looked at just get on with it next game, and that's what we've been like in most of the games. The lads have been brilliant in their recovery. Sometimes these games are tougher mentally to recover from because everybody's reminding you of the game.
That's right.
But no matter what happened on Saturday, I was always going to be Ashton, and then now it's all Darlington, and then we just keep focusing on the preparation for the next game and don't look beyond the next game. But I would be surprised if the emotion, the physical exertion and the whole of Saturday didn't take something out of players. But you know, that's where we're trusting the professionalism. Just to sometimes you're not always at this stage of the season at your best. I remember how tired I felt back in 96, 97, I think me and Fellaini at this, you know, we're going into the last 5 or 6 games having played 55, nearly 60 games and some massive games like Middlesbrough in the semi-finals, all those Premiership sides we played. And the last 7 or 8 games, it was, I think we were 1-0 wins and we're just grinding out results and just doing all the basics right. And there was no sensational performances. We just worked really hard and you are not at your best, no matter how, even you eat the same, sleep the same, you just, there's an element that's lost a little bit, and that's professional football. It's such a long, hard season with so many demands, and some of our players are probably not used to them physical demands. You know, they've played a lot of games, some of the younger players, some of the players are got themselves really fit and playing at a high level, and that's going to take its toll. So I don't think it was just Saturday. I think it's been a tough season. What we need to do now is just be mindful of who that we can, who's consistent, who's stable, and making all good decisions, and just keep working with those players and making sure that we tidy up the tactical edges, tidy up the little bits of their game that we need to be taken out and adding something different. So, but pleased with all the effort, and like I said, it was a deserved result. A shame for them that, because they'll lament the fact that the way the goals came, and you know they're going to be relying on trying to contain teams and scoring goals. So, but for us, it was important after Saturday and the last 4 games to get back to winning ways. So that's a nice feeling to have again.
Particularly, I think in that first half, you had to be so patient with your build-up, because they were just sitting in and they weren't inviting, they weren't creating much themselves. But when you needed it, that little bit of quality from Niall Bell, it was a lovely finish, wasn't it? A bit of brilliance. Yeah,
but you're coming back to us punishing them for foul play. I mean, it was a really poor challenge. Matty Warburton again worked hard to get there first and get his body between the ball, and he's drawn the foul. Adam Thomas should have been in a better starting position. He was, but picked up the second ball, and then the ball breaks and anything can happen. Nice finish, improvised, but we've seen that at South Shields away where, you know, he belies his physical size in terms of his dexterity to get a shot off. I'm pleased with him, because yesterday he was quite unselfish in training. I said, look, you're not going to get your 10th goal being like that, so gobble up any chances that come your way. And it was, like I said, lots of players, Matty, Sam Walker, Adam Thomas and Narbel, all played their part in that. And it's good that we can punish teams that. But I thought in the first half, we talked yesterday about switching play, double switching, and anybody watching the game would have realised that every time we switched it, they seemed to sink. But then we got to the final third, and what we needed is the tempo to change. And I think I could affect the tempo on my side with Dan and encourage Dan, and had a really positive first half. But Scott on the other side, unfortunately, him and Dan and Adam didn't really connect, and I think that was where we needed a little bit more brightness from the likes of Daz and Adam. But it was a difficult game for them, because they're normally playing out wide, facing the goal, but they're having to play in little pockets and try to be connectors, and that was difficult for them tonight.
I think we prepare for Darlington now, who, again, I mean, they're low down in the league table, but still a dangerous animal, aren't they, in that position? Yeah,
well, I mean, they've, you know, I don't know how they got on tonight. They got themselves a 10-point cushion with a couple of good results. You know, they'll come here and have their own game plan. They played around with 3-5-2 or 5 at the back, so you know, we've got to be respectful that they'll make it difficult for us. The onus will be on us to get amongst them, create the opportunities and chances. But Rye's done a good job. They'll be disappointed with their overall season, but I think they're focused now, and I think they're good enough to stay up, and I think the form's reasonable at the moment. They've got a couple of threats from set plays, and they've got a couple of pacey players with a bit of skill to make something happen. And you can see the threat like Kalamantak had tonight, in terms of when there's a little bit of space, and those players can hurt teams, especially when you're dominating possession. So, look, whatever time I get up in the morning, 6:30, I'll be watching Ashton United on Darlington, and studying them, and then just trying to get everything right for Thursday night now. And we've only got an hour and a half with lads on Thursday, and we've got to make sure that everything we do on Thursday night is spot on, and the lads will prepare for Saturday, because we need to build on this win now. It's nice to be here with on 69 points, which we finished on last year, and just keep moving forward. And what we want to do is get to 72, you know, come Saturday. But like I said, I'm really pleased for the lads' efforts tonight. Really tough season, and they put a load in. And what we need to do now is just make sure that we keep getting the best out of them, and keep helping them, supporting them, and doing everything we can as a club to make sure we get the best out of them.
You can look after your voice as well.
Well, like I said, it's nice to have Paul Turnbull out there and other people actually, you know, getting messages across. But I need to learn, because certain players I give instruction to don't seem to listen. So maybe I need to try and get across the messages and train a little bit more, because I found with some of our players that they needed things to be consolidated in training. And that's the challenge as a coach, is that consistency that comes from, you know, making sure you're patient but persistent, and doing stuff over and over again until they settle into knowing exactly what you want. But I think players need to also have a little think about their game. they maybe think there's a certain type of performance that gets you to the next level, but any performance at any level is all about doing the basics right and making quick and good decisions, and then we need to get back to that with some of our players, and if we do that, then they'll get back to the type of form that they've shown in previous games, and when they start firing on all cylinders again, we'll have that brilliant side back again.
It's a great way. Look after yourself.
Thanks so much.
Cheers.